Hi everyone, this is Akshay again. I think we have had a wonderful day. We started with some glitches, but I think the last panel was power packed with some of the most sought after ecosystem sharing what's going on at their end. But now comes to the folks that are building the real future, right? So I remember reading this book called Physics of the Future, where the author went on to predict the direction of innovation and essentially predict what technological advancements would look in 100 years, and what timeline would they come about in, right? And one thing he followed was the strategy of speaking to the folks that are building at the cutting edge, innovating, leading people to experiment with these technologies. And I think it gives me a similar feeling when I'm looking at the panel. There are innovators working in the web3 startup trenches, and possibly giving us what a new era of web3 innovation would look like, because this is kind of like a restart if you look at what's been happening over the last 6 months. So now with that evolved tech stack, or I would say still evolving, but a lot evolved from as compared to 5 years ago. I feel like the kind of innovations that are going to come about, are going to have another level of impact. And today's panel, conducted by my partner Manav, is going to be about this new generation of Web3 innovation. Also, this new level of adoption that we will see because of the innovation, right? So, over to you, Manav. I think I'll let you conduct this with the amazing panelists.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you everyone for staying. I know we have been running a little late, and there have been some glitches, but you guys have been amazing. And I assure you, this panel is going to be as exciting as the earlier panel, because all of them are working on something very interesting. While I was reading about them, and before the panel, I really enjoyed what they all are doing, and I'm sure you all can learn a lot from their journey as well. All right, guys, before we start, would love to get a quick introduction from you guys about your journey and also learn about, your product, what exactly you're building. We'll start with you, Kimon, follow with Mike, Lenny, then you, and then Divya will finally will be you. Over to you.
Sure. So my name's Kim Lykos. I'm the founder of Forever Has Fallen. What our mission is to redefine escapism. So we look at the way that stories have been told since we started finger painting on caves, all the way through to Netflix. Storytelling's remained a linear one-way experience. So Forever Has Fallen is looking at defining escapism, creating a new type of escapism by creating story-driven metaverses. So basically, with us, it's like living, playing, and earning in a movie like The Bourne Identity. And the Web3 capabilities that's going to enable us to help our fans to enjoy, living and playing, and especially the earning part with our story-driven metaverses is really, really exciting.
That's quite interesting. What about you, Mike? What are you building? What's EDNS doing?
Yeah. Hello, guys. This is Mike from EDNS Domains, and we actually for EDNS itself, we're actually building a decentralized domain name services. I guess a lot of you guys have heard about ENS, but ENS only built on Ethereum, but EDNS is built on multiple blockchain networks, and your domain no longer only locked it on a single blockchain networks, but now your domain can be cross-chain traveling by us by integrating with layer 0. And we are not only like working on domain name service, because domain name in Web3, just like DNS in the current world, we're also working on layer 2 decentralized storage. You can say it is a decentralized storage aggregator, because we already aggregate with IPFS, BTFS, and Ethereum Swarm. And we expect we integrate with more decentralized storage like BNB Green Theory, RV, Falcon, etc. So the primary purpose of what we're doing this is for the entire infrastructure in the Web3 spaces. Because one of the example our product for the decentralized storage is D-Drive, which also have the capability of doing static web hosting. So which means by by creating a decentralized domain name on EDNS and hosting your Web3 website on D Drive. So in the first time that we can have a complete of a Web3 static website solutions on the Web3 space.
That sounds interesting. That's quite cool, having decentralized domains across different chains may solve a lot of problems for, users as well as builders in this space. What about you, Lini? What is Bifrost doing?
Oh, sure. Hey, guys. Okay, so I'm Lini, and I'm the APAC Marketing and Community Lead for Bifrost. And many people, I don't know how many, but I met at least 200 people in Korea and at Token 2049 that thinks Bifrost is a Korean network. Everyone is asking it, but actually we're mainly located across Europe and part of APAC as well. Our founders are based in mainland China at the moment. So my core focus is to expand our brand and our community across the APAC regions. So Bifrost is actually a what do we call it? A web3 derivative protocol that can offer what would you call it? Decentralized cross-chain liquidity for staked assets, and we're built on the Polkadot ecosystem. So it was very interesting just before that Sean was mentioning a little bit about Cosmos and Polkadot itself. So basically what Bifrost is that we're actually leveraging the cross consensus messaging XCM, which can provide cross-chain liquid staking services for multiple chains. And basically what it's used for is for staking, native swaps, lending, borrowing, collateral, voting, and etc. And all these functions will be activated by a government's democracy and the mainnet. So that's kind of about what Bifrost is.
That's right. And you guys also have, bidded for a parachain slot, or you're yet to bid for a parachain slot?
We actually have one, which is, I think, actually just ended not long ago, a week ago, I believe.
Understood. Kimon, you're also building on Polkadot?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
That's lovely. What about you, Divya? What's Turf doing?
Yeah, so hi everyone, this is Dibyo. I have been in this Web3 ecosystem from 2016. Building since then, I have been a developer turned serial entrepreneur, where I started with contributing it to Ethereum 2.0 back in 2019, right? And that's how things started. Built a couple of ventures, now building Turf. So we are a platform to permissionlessly host your esports competition. So yeah, we are a GameFi infrastructure, and we are built on top of Polygon Supernets. And what we are doing is, like, the vision around building this whole thing is we want to give access to all different type of gamers or gamers across the globe the access to esports, right? It should not be only for the top dogs, but it should be for everyone. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Divya. All right. So before we start off, you guys are building, some really interesting projects. What inspired you to, start off with this product? What was the inspiration behind that? We'll have from you, Mike. Let's start with you. Divyo, we'll go on to Kimon. And Lini, I have a different question for you here. Phrased differently, since you joined in by first later. So please, why don't you start, Mike? Inspiration behind EDNS.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because like EDNS has already founded over a year. Because before that, my career and my professional started from cloud, and also one of our other business is actually cloud and reselling and cloud solutions. So at that time, the blockchains, the NFT, the crypto start like growing up, popping up from the entire market, and everyone like obsessed with the crypto and NFT. And at that time, we, me and my other colleagues start studying on what NFT works, how NFT works. And eventually, when I dig deep, eventually those NFT, what actually decentralized is just like a group of numbers that is on smart contract, like the metadata, the image, for example, OpenSea. The NFT you have created on was actually the image and the metadata that is stored on Google Cloud. So it means like Google Cloud have been down or OpenSea have been shut down. What you own is eventually just a number. So at that time, we start working on decentralized storage on the entire market. But at that moment, actually, decentralized storage like not very well known by the others. For example, I think most of you have heard of IPFS, but the performance of IPFS is pretty poor. So we decided to go for the first layer that we need to access from our internet, that is domains. So at that time, there is not much of competitor at the market. So we take part quickly. We established EDNS. At first, we actually deploy our smart contract on Polygon at first. Later on, like only around 1 month ago, we already have been deployed at over 11 blockchain networks like Polygon, Vanzam, Avalanche, and different L2 EVM blockchain networks. And we also integrate with layer 0, which means your domain no longer like dedicated onto a single blockchain. And later on, at the meantime, we actually are developing the D drive, because as I said, the NFT, all of the data has been like putting on a centralized storage. So we exploring different comprehensive solution that is like using the concept from cloud, what we call redundant or the high availability. We're combining those available decentralized storage on the market. We're putting together, which to create a much more high availabilities and reliabilities of a decentralized storage. But we did more than that, because Web3 will take part in the future, but will not take over the future, because it will coexist with the cloud technologies. But I mean, who is not using cloud nowadays? Everyone's using cloud. Like even the streaming platform we're using right now, we're also running on the cloud. So it might coexist with Web3 technology. So because also, as I said, there are another business is cloud. So the D drive itself not only integrate with different decentralized storage, we also integrate with cloud storage. So no matter it is a Web2 company trying to onboard Web3 or a Web3 company trying to put more data back to centralized, we can also provide a very competitive solution for them. So also, as I said, the D drive also a function of doing a website, hosting a website on it. So we can provide eventually we can provide very complete or a much more user-friendly solution for hosting a Web3 website on a decentralized technology or basis. That's why we're trying to achieve.
That sounds quite interesting, Mike. Divya, what about you? What was your inspiration?
Yeah, so it is something that actually is very much tied with me personally, because I used to be a gamer, and well, I come from a third tier city. So and at that place, right, esports and competitive gaming was not a thing, right? So when we get into this industry, like, hey, why don't we earn some money out of by showcasing our skills or playing with different competitors, right? And it was back in 2010 and all these things, right? We didn't had any source where we can kickstart this whole journey, right? We didn't have the access to different esports competitions. We didn't have access so that small gaming communities can host those, right? So this thing never worked out for us. So coming back, when we started around the ideation of turf, we observed that this problem still exists. It's been more than 10 plus years, and only the top dogs in the gaming industry or the gamers have access to esports. And the reason is there are small local competitions happening, but if it's in my next state, right, actually I can't be a part of that, right? And I don't have any access to the cross-border esports competitions that are happening. So this is due to the lack of two things. First is esports hosting is very much cost effective, like a cost incentive. We need a lot of capex. And the next thing is the global payment structure, right? So if there is some competition happening in Vietnam, I cannot be a part of it. If I can be a part of it, I will probably not get the money which I won, right? So we picked out all these two problems, and I feel these are the two pain points that blockchain flawlessly can solve. And having a background of this Web3, building in this Web3 ecosystem, we thought, hey, why can't we build a distributed network which Web2 games can leverage as a bridge, right? And to access the Web3 primitives that are there, like the play to earn ecosystem and distribution of funds globally. So we came up with this whole infra that actually solves the problem that I have personally faced, and I feel it's a problem of a lot of players throughout the Asian countries. Yeah.
Thank you, Divya. Sounds, products which are made out of personal issues and, problems faced, really will go well because the founders understand exactly what the user is looking for. Yeah. Kimon, what about you? What inspired you to start Forever for Follies?
I was sick of being a criminal because you're, downloading films illegally. So it kind of started off with my love of entertainment and films. And, I've got a sort of saying that, markets make winners. And I think the market has been telling Hollywood and storytellers for quite some time that we don't like this model. We don't like the centralized model. We don't like the thing that we have to go to a theatre. And, we've all got, our own home theatres now. And, things have changed a lot. So why we still have this model? I'm probably a bit odd out of this group in terms of we actually didn't start with blockchain in mind, but it was more of, how can we create a different way of entertaining people and give them a different sort of type of escapism. So working on that project and working on a new formula for entertainment where it's like, well, we could create this vast world that people could live in and play in. So it sort of like gamifies the storytelling as well, where, you with our story, you listen to the story, it's an audio story, you get a clue, and then you dive into this vast story world. We've made 1/3 of all the build that we have to do. So there's three seasons. And it was only when sort of blockchain was becoming a thing and we started looking at, well, what could that mean to the community and how could that add value to the community? We looked at, very excitingly that if you could build this for and with the community, give people like voting rights on what you're going to produce next, enable them to, if you created a token, if you could create a market economy somehow. So, make sure that the token's got utilization within your community. Allow your fans to use the IP. So, for example, if you're a fan of DC or Marvel Studios, if you went and built a Superman website or a Spider-Man website or made some kind of T-shirt or merchandise, they would sue you. They'd send the lawyers after you. But what we'd like is for our fans to be able to use their IP. To be able to create merchandise, to sell to each other. And then also with the addition of NFTs, that was a real step change for us because we looked at NFTs not as collectibles, but we actually realized that they could be a fantastic new type of ticketing system as well. So what our sort of determination is in the future is to sort of keep the blockchain crypto tokens, NFTs, all that sort of stuff. We actually want to keep that hidden. We want to keep that under the hood because we think that's going to help to accelerate the adoption of what we're doing. But the whole web3 technology and enablement of these platforms like Polkadot, it's really, really exciting how it can change an entire model. And add more value to the end user. So we're thrilled to be part of this particular movement, I guess you could call
it. That's interesting. And are you working with any big brands or any big movie stars or celebrities? Anybody that you're working with currently?
Yeah, so we've been very fortunate. It's amazing how small the world can be because I actually had no connectivity to Hollywood. when I started this. And we've actually come across two Hollywood innovators. So a guy called Tim Kring. So Tim was the creator of Heroes, which was, they had about 150 million viewers worldwide. And another guy called Sandy Kleiman, who started off as a talent agent, working with some of the biggest names in Hollywood back in my sort of generation. So people like Kevin Costner and Danny DeVito. Maybe the younger people in the audience don't know who those people are. But more recently, he was also a producer of Leonardo DiCaprio's film The Aviator. And these two guys have been trying to innovate Hollywood, trying to innovate storytelling. And when I managed to meet them and talk to them about what we're doing, we became best buddies overnight.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Lini, tell me something. What made you interested? When you looked at Bifrost, what was the thing that made you, pull towards the company? What got you excited about the company overall?
I think I was actually, so before I joined Bifrost, I was actually in an exchange called Huobi, which is now no longer is Huobi. And that was the first time where I got introduced to Bifrost, because they were actually part of the project that I had to help them to get on AMAs and things like that. And I was like talking to the team and felt like the team was, I guess, they're very transparent and were very hardworking, as well as, like they were they have a very strong technical team. So, such as whenever they had to do it, like a tech integration between Huobi and what was it, and themselves, you could actually see that there was, they're not like fooling around, they're actually doing something legit, and that made me also talking to more of the people from there. For example, one of my colleagues is Thibault. He's very, very active in the crypto communities. I'm talking to him a little bit about what Bifrost was up to and things like that. And they later on, I reached out to them, helping them out. I just think it's a really good team. Very, very flat. So, when you work for a project sometime, or not a project, but for an exchange, for example, there's a lot of levels of senior management. You have to be careful and things like that. But at Bifrost, no, we don't have this kind of hierarchy, as you call it. So that's one of the things.
That's right. That's right. And how do you feel that, what, according to you, how is Bifrost different from other Polkadot projects? What makes you guys separate from the rest of the?
Okay, so for example, some of the advantages over other projects is that besides that we're providing staking liquidity, we have maybe more advantages on we're just implementing this XCM on Polkadot parachain. So what Bifrost have, I would say, what Bifrost has is that we have more flexible in terms of the unstaking period. So instead of you're waiting like 28 days to get your dots unstaked, we have implementing a queuing system, which allows users to actually get their tokens back in a few days. We have a little bit a higher APY, which means like a node screening system that allows Bifrost to automatically reallocate all these staked tokens to the best and most efficient way for the validators. And then we have the V tokens, as we call it, liquid staked tokens, or these yield bearing assets, which is what you can call a way of rebase reward system to put in place from other competitors, like for example Lido. So Bifrost, Bifrost, the tokens increases their value over time and not by quantity for most liquid staking holders. So that actually makes them perfect for DeFi utilization, and also allow a smoother, whatever you call it, integrations with DEXs. So that differentiates us a little bit from the others.
That's quite interesting. Mike, you mentioned that you guys are present on multiple chains, and now that's how decentralization has been working. EDNS has been. So could you mention what all chains are you currently building on?
Sorry, pardon the last question.
I'm saying, could you mention what all chains is EDNS currently supporting?
As I remember, there's over like first one, obviously the first blockchain that we deploy is Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, Phantom, Avalanche, Genosis, Sailor. I think there's 2 or 4 more, but mostly they are EVM compatible blockchains. So actually, we still have considered extending to either Aptos or Solana for etc.
That's nice. Maybe you can connect with Naresh after this event and explore about Aptos. Sorry, Divya, what about turf? What kind of games can one be playing right now? I can see that you are encouraging people to play Counter Strike. Besides that, what games can one be right now be working on using turf?
So, what we are focusing on right now was Web2 games because when we got into this industry, checking around Web3 games and what all are there around the audience space, we have seen most of the Web3 games folks are yield farmers, right? More than gamers. So, what we did is we are focusing right now on Valorant and League of Legends as of our first targets so that esports can be hosted on top of all these 2 games first and much esports events can be done, right? So basically our thought process around this is let's target one by one games and get their community onboarded to us.
All right, that's quite good. My next question for you guys is, how was the experience with the Token 2049 conference? It was not just 1 week of conference. Before that, it was ETH Singapore Token 2049, followed by the F1 Formula race, and besides that, all the numerous side events that was going on. And what were your key takeaways, during this time? So would like to hear Lini of thoughts first, followed by Kimon, Dibyo, and then Mike.
Okay. So beside for the side events, there's like what 400, 500 side events. So it was really difficult to go to all events at once. So my colleague and I, we had to split up our work. So some of them, so he will take maybe 3 events and I will take the other. But the people I talked to were mainly like VCs that I talked to, and they were actually very, very much interested in, for example, infrastructure projects. A lot of them were mentioning about infrastructure projects, but they didn't say specifically which chain or which ecosystem, but mainly just infrastructure projects, and as well as some kind of like what people focus on, privacy projects. I have been talking to as well. So these 2 were something that each event I attended, these were what the VCs were looking at, the ones that I joined. So yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Kimon.
Oh yeah. So it was actually really good for me because I felt like, are we sort of falling behind, or if I push this as hard as I can, sort of maybe I'm at a different, different scope to Bifrost. But one of the key takeaways that I got from the conference was that, a lot of money has gone into infrastructure, and I was asking people, well, haven't we built enough roads? I mean, isn't it time that we sort of sent a car down the road to see if the car can go down the road and, if it can take a car, and, what happens? Are there any potholes in the road? So a lot of investors and people within the Polkadot ecosystem were very receptive to that kind of conversation because you look around at the conference in Singapore, and there was an enormous amount of companies who are building infrastructure still. So I'm not anti-infrastructure. I'm just saying that it'd be great to be able to test the roads now that we've built. So I actually came away with a very strong feeling. You know, also talking to some pretty serious developers as well, that we're actually not late. We're probably just right on time, and that if I had have been, you know, trying to launch this maybe 12 months earlier, it probably would have not really gone, or it would have been very, very difficult. But the message that I got from a lot of people, from developers to investors, was that this is actually probably the right time now. You know, the technology's there, the roads have been built, the infrastructure is all in place, and now people have a hunger, a real desire to be able to see, well, you know, what happens if you put a car on the road now? So we're pretty driven to be, you know, one of the first cars on Polkadot, if I keep going with this analogy. So we're going to be doing something like, you know, I mentioned before, NFTs and ticketing. So one of the exciting things that came out of the conference was that we'll be minting, you know, 1 million NFTs to test the resources, because Polkadot's going to be doing a update in about 3 or so months' time. So we want to try now and see what happens, and then do another trial when the updates have been done, and see what the difference is. So yeah, so it's quite exciting times, I think, for people who you know, are ready to sort of like bring in the next wave of consumers and start bringing on these consumers for Web3.
Right. Thank you, Kimon. Divyo?
Yeah, Token 2049 has been a great time for us, actually, because apart from the token event, there has been multiple different side events that were only gaming focused, right? And we got a great market validation around what we are building, right? So to sum up, I would say like these 10 days I have been in Singapore has put us ahead of the curve for more than 3 months. Right. So it was great interacting with a lot of VCs, and as well as people who are building on top of different blockchains, creating a few other infrastructures, right, who are which are enabling different Web2 games to get into Web3 ecosystem, or specifically building for Web3 gaming adoption, right? So around the buzz that we have seen in Web3 gaming, it's huge, and what we are enabling is bringing more real gamers into this ecosystem. So I feel it has helped us a lot around market validation and with the VC connects, and obviously let's see how the thing goes.
That's quite interesting, Divyo. What about you, Mike? What were your key takeaways, and how was your experience?
Yeah, actually, we have EDNS token. EDNS domain has a booth right next to Tron, but although I didn't see it just in but actually, because quite a lot of my teams has went to this event. My CEO, CRO, and different BD, also one of my tech guys also come along with us. Although my CEO go to the after party of the token 2049, so just in actually gained a lot from this event, because actually from the past years, EDNS Domains as like participating in different events around the world, like in Taiwan, in Malaysia, Singapore, different event, even Dubai. We also have participated in different, like no matter it's crypto or blockchain or even entertainment event. But it did this event's quite a lot of different from the others, because actually before I went to Singapore a week ago, I go to Malaysia. Malaysia with we have an event with Alibaba Cloud, and although we met a lot of people inside, no matter it's crypto or blockchain or Web3 industry, but most of them are quite a lot like business or doing marketing. But Token 2049 is like quite a lot of tech guys, or much more in-depth, like they're actually building some things. Although, of course, we met a lot of different, even business development or investor, VC. But as the other guest said, there's quite like 100 of side events from the Token 2049. We also go different event every night. Yeah, pretty tired for me. Because we got a booth, we stand all day long. Then after night, after the token 2049 has end, we didn't even have time to go for dinner. Then we go for the after party right away, like having dinner at like 10 or 11 p.m. So yeah, actually we also have some event. We actually we co-host also with Alibaba at Alibaba office. So actually, yeah, could gain quite a lot of relationship and information from it, no matter from a security side or a bidder side or a marketing side, gain a lot of important information and relation and different kind of aspect. Because before that, we EDNS domains like more focus on the entire Southeast Asia. Because because our company is based in Singapore and Hong Kong, and because like the entire our company is like located in Southeast Asia, so even we no matter we meet with partners or have an event, it's much more easier to travel. But there's quite a lot of people from no matter southern or even Russia, they travel around, so we gain a lot of different aspects of insight of the entire industry from it. It's making me like having much more think about what we're doing and what we should do like for our product in the future.
Understood. And tell me something. Did you get a chance to partner with Tron? Are we getting you're also integrating on Tron very soon after this conference?
Yeah, we wish to, but although for now we're still working existing or working on the entire EVM compatible blockchain network, but we still have some consideration on Tron because Tron the dApps ecosystem on Tron is quite a little bit too much and too huge and too much of different dApps on it. So yeah, I know although Tron has acquired Huobi right now, and I know the Huobi chains right now is like and then they focus on Tron. So we have talked to Huobi, and they also recommend us like deploying EDNS domain on Tron for more like partnering and more marketing events. But we still have a hold on it. So yeah, we still focus on other more international like Polygon or OKX, etc.
All right, thank you. I know we have shorter time. I just have one last question. This is for them, I just want. All right, okay. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you for joining in. I have been told I cannot ask any more questions. Over to you, Akshay.
Sorry about that, Manav. I think we have tremendously, stretched our times, and so that just so that we do not have, we prevent ourselves from pushing away the speakers. I want to come in and make sure that we call it, almost an event now. So again, apart from the challenge at Call of Duty, there was a lot that I could relate to. But I think the most that I could relate to was the statement from Kimon that a lot of money has been deployed into building infrastructure, and it definitely seems like the right time to put it all to test. And so some of the promising initiatives like Forever has fallen. Again, I feel like the gaming side of things, which is just getting started. All of that would put things to context when this infrastructure starts to get utilized, right? But again, thanks everyone for joining in. I feel like the 4 startups that we're listening to are probably each going to be super impactful just in the next 12 to 18 months. Mike, I can totally relate to you from hosting everybody at the booth to meeting at builder houses or some of the side events. I think Token 2049 was super eventful, probably tiring, but I think the passion and the energy of everyone you meet was something that got to you, right? And sort of when I'm back at the office, it just seems like I'm I can do so much more with the limited time that I have every day. But yeah, thanks Manav, thanks for moderating this. Thanks me, thanks Debyo, Kimon, and Mike for joining in. Thanks to all the participants, attendees for tuning in today. We have had such a high quality panel. I hope you follow all of these wonderful founders and their links. They have shared that already on the chat, right? So make sure that you give them a shout out for the amazing insights they shared with you. And again, join our community. Would love to have you regularly in some of the discussions that goes on to our chats. Thanks
Thank
everyone. I think I'm going to call it a panel now.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thanks a lot, guys.